It's one of those days when you wake up in the morning and then you have your toddler who is just sitting there, not able to decide what she wants to eat. And trust me, I have so many of such days that she eats those food on any other day, but today is the day when she'll be like, do you want to eat chickpea? No. Do you want to eat oats? No. I'm just like replaying this emotion in my own head. What does she want? What does she want to eat? And it's not about just toddlers, even us. We also have those days when we want to eat something different, especially on weekends. You don't want to just start your day with the same breakfast every day. You want to start it with something else. We all love fried food, right? So that's what we are going to do today. We're going to take some of these leftover things that we have. We all have some leftover boiled chickpea, some leftover rice or bulgur, frozen green pea, always a staple in the kitchen. And we're going to make something out of it. So yes, why give up on just making something very simple for breakfast each day? Let's make something interesting. My name is Srikant and welcome to the Happy Bellyfish Cooking Show. And today I'm going to show you some really exciting things that you can make with very simple stuff. Let's start with the ingredients. What do we have here? Chickpea, boiled chickpea. Now, if you can boil your own chickpea, great. You can always boil some extra, keep it in the fridge, make 2 different things, 3 different things. We have so many chickpea recipes on our channel. Go find them. And you can learn how to make several things with chickpea. So we have some leftover chickpea, about a cup of it. And it doesn't have to be leftover. If you really have the time and luxury for it, go boil it. And about chickpea, you can also buy them canned, but make sure you read the ingredients. Sometimes there are things that you don't want inside it. So we have bulgur. If you have rice, boiled rice, you can even use that. And we'll also try a different variation of it, where I'm going to use frozen green pea. Let's say you don't have boiled chickpea or you don't have the time to do it. This is like a staple in every kitchen. You can always use this, right? And you can combine it either with bulgur or in this case, for example, you can use oats. Now this one is more like an instant thing. You don't have leftover bulgur and chickpea, or you don't want to do the boiling or whatever. These 2 things, you can always do it very quickly. All you have to do is soak the oats with some water, just cold water, and just leave it for about 10 to 15 minutes and it will be soft enough. And then we'll drain out the water and we'll use the oats there. So here I have besan or chickpea flour. This is what will hold the bulgur and chickpea or the green peas and oats together. And to give it some amount of crunchiness, I'm going to add some rice flour. So if you don't want to add spices, you can just mix these ingredients along with some herbs and you're ready to go. And if you want to make it for yourself, make it a little more interesting, then you can add some spices. The 4 basic spices that I always talk about: turmeric, chili powder, cumin, and coriander. If you want, you can also add some garam masala to it, but I think we'll stick to these 4. And you can of course add some fresh herbs to it. I'm adding dill here. You can add parsley. If you're a fan of coriander, you can even add that. All right. So how easy can it be, the whole cooking? You need a blender so that, early morning exercise may not be in the bowl with the knife and fork. So we'll start with the blender and mix some of the ingredients. If you have a food processor, you can also use that. And I'll start with the chickpea one, the chickpea and the bulgur. So chickpea, I've added it, about the same amount of bulgur. If you don't have bulgur, you have rice, brown rice, white rice, black rice, whatever, you can add it. And what we'll do here is that we'll mix it so that, the chickpea kind of gets crushed. And we'll add very little water to it, very little, namesake. You will have to give it a couple of times. You'll have to stir it, mix it so that all the ingredients come to the blade. If you don't have a blender, you don't want to make your blender or food processor dirty, you can also use fork and mash it nicely. All right, so I've coarsely grounded it, just broken the chickpea actually. So I'll add it to a bowl. If you see any chickpea that is still not completely mashed, you can do that. Bulgur will still be like, you can still see the grain, and that's nice because you want to kind of feel that different texture when you eat it. So why is all this a healthy breakfast? If you see, it's like a whole meal in a way. You can add some herbs to it, spices are there, there's this peas, chickpea, it's a huge source of protein. You're adding ingredients like bulgur or oats, all of them healthy in their own right. So we don't want to cheat the child of a nice tasty breakfast, right? So I'm going to add about 2 teaspoons of chickpea flour and about 1 teaspoon of rice flour. If your child eats herbs, many of them do actually, we kind of assume that they don't eat this, they don't eat that. If you kind of change the way that you serve food to them, they might actually start eating it. So I'm adding some fresh dill, a lot of it. Don't forget the salt. And then we'll add some amount of oil just to help us make it into a nice dough. And for a child who does not eat spices, most of them don't, even mine doesn't, this would be where I would stop and make fritters out of it. But if I also want to be included in the party, then I'll make it little interesting. I'll add some turmeric, just a quarter of a teaspoon, not too much chili, as much as you like, and some coriander. So I'm just adding about half a teaspoon of each of these. And this makes it really interesting. But let's say you don't want to add those 4 spices, you can just add some garam masala, that can also do the trick. And just mix it nicely, thoroughly, just make it into a nice dough. And when you're ready with the material, the entire mix, time for you to start frying them. So we're going to shallow fry it on a pan. You're not going to deep fry with a lot of oil. And it's possible. All you have to do is just have enough oil. If you add too little, it kind of does not do. And if you add too much, then it's too oily. And when the oil is hot, just lower the flame to medium so that your healthy breakfast does not start burning. Then what we'll do is we'll make a small ball like this. And remember, like if it starts sticking to your hand, you can always wet your hand a little bit with just plain water and flatten it. And straight away you put it on the pan. That's how simple it is. Not that difficult, right? So somewhere in the middle, we'll just turn it over. This way we'll know that, okay, we are not burning it. It's so comforting, like I can just smell it and I'm hungry like always. This is the thing about cooking shows. You get very hungry while cooking. You can gradually increase the flame so that it nicely browns, it's crispy on the outside, and it's ready. And you can eat it in so many different ways. You'll make wraps, you can put it in that. You can just eat it as it is. It can be a side dish, it can be a party snack. There's so many ways you can use it, and it's all healthy and made with very healthy and fresh ingredients. So while this one is cooking, we can start preparing our next recipe, which I'm going to do with oats and with green pea. So what I'm going to do now is the oats that I had soaked, I'm going to just remove the excess water from it. Just use a sieve, just get the water out. And it's very important that you cook or soak the oat. All right. So when we have done this, we'll discard this water and we'll mix the other ingredients together. And now I'm going to add the green pea. Once again, if there's excess water in it, you can throw it out. And these are frozen green peas. So if you are going to use a fresh green pea, you get it in early summer, then you have to cook it. You have to actually put it in hot boiling water for a few minutes and then it's cooked. You can't just add it straight to it, then it's not cooked. But the frozen ones, they're already blanched and then they freeze it. So you can use that. And then I'm going to add the oats and we'll mix the rest of the ingredients here and then make a nice dough out of it. So for green peas, I'm going to add a lot of parsley. So I've added the freshly chopped parsley now here. And like I said before, that this particular recipe, you're doing it in stages. You can make something that's for a toddler who does not actually like strong spices, or for a grown-up who can actually handle a lot of spices. Spices are good for you. If you want to learn more about spices, do check out our website where you have free masterclasses on learning new spice blends and also about other things, like if you want to do some baking or you want to do some fermentation, there are free masterclasses. Make sure you do check them out, subscribe yourself there, and you'll get access to these free masterclasses. So we'll make sure that this patty is not burning. We'll have to turn it. I've kept it on this medium flame, not too high, so that I can do other things. And again, I'll add the same 4 spices. I'll add some cumin here. Because it's oats, it might actually, completely undermine the spices that I'm adding. So just a little over half a teaspoon. If you like it strong, you can add it even more. I'm adding some salt, chili, and turmeric. If you want to add ginger, you can finely chop ginger and add it here. You don't have to, but you can. Once again, I'm going to add 2 heaped teaspoons of besan or chickpea flour, an equal quantity of rice flour, some oil, and then we'll mix it nicely. So here, what I'm going to do is mash the green pea. So you can use the fork to mash the green pea here and mix the ingredients very nicely. All right. So I like the green peas to stick out, so I'm not mashing it a lot. But if you want to make the green pea disappear, then you can mash it completely in a food processor so that the green peas is not visible. So I think it's ready. And I think even our chickpea bulgur patty is also ready here. If you want, you can also add some more oil and fry it a little more. But I think I'm going to leave it here. Remember, the bulgur and chickpea were both cooked. Now we'll move on to the patty that we'll make with green pea and oats. So add some oil, not too much and not too little. And here we have to start making those patties again. Then just put them on the pan straight away. So when it comes to healthy cooking, you need to also change your mindset a little bit. It does not mean that you have to start eating completely raw food, things that you don't like. You can continue to eat what you like. You just have to make them right. So that's why once in a while you can always treat yourself with this. You can actually make it even every day. It's not a lot of oil and you are also using healthy ingredients. And coming to that point, I must say that we are having challenges on our websites where you can actually take up a challenge to cook healthy for so many days, or to make vegan food for so many days, or to make cake which is vegan for 30 days or 15 days. So make sure you join those challenges. And we wanted to make it a challenge because we realized that people will do this if they're given a limited amount of time and if they're going to feel accomplished at the end of it. If you cook too much on one side at the beginning, then what will happen is your fritters will start drying very much, right? You don't want to cook it for too long. So that's something that you need to make sure. All right, we are done here. So I'm going to remove them from the pan and make you feel very hungry. And I really hope that once you've watched this video, you will go straight into your kitchen. And I'm sure you'll find these ingredients there and you'll make something delicious, just like this. So make sure you like the video, subscribe to our channel, and let us know in the comments what other recipe would you like us to make. So signing off now, I'm really excited and really hopeful that you'll make this and write it in the comments how it came out for you. Alright, I'm hungry. See you guys soon.